Hello, Mike Biltberger, and it's time for the Grandview Speedway Highbanks highlights. Going to be featuring the racing action down at the Third Mile Oval, located right off of Route 100 in Bechtelsville. Twin 25's for the small block modifieds, a regular 25-lap event for the crate Sportsman. 44 cars entered in the Sportsman class, 43 in the modifieds. 4 heats were needed for both classes, and 2 consolations were needed for both classes. We'll do the recap of the Sportsman events first. Your heat winners were Shannon Slaughter in the 53S, Brad Force in the 8, Brad Brightbill in the 19, and Lawson Zarensitz in the 12. Consolations were won by Matt Laubach and TJ Mayberry. 26 cars slated to take the green for the 25-lapper, but a provisional was added. Jimmy Leiby in the 28, who was actually towed off earlier in the qualifying events, came back out for the consolation, did not qualify, but took a provisional starting in the 27th starting spot. All things were running pretty close to normal, but a bad accident on lap number 7, a couple cars involved, sending the 611 of Brett Grimm towards the wall and collecting Joey Vaccaro. They both had a hard hit into the first turn wall. Joey's 53 was actually towed off by the roll cage. So it's probably some severe damage on the 53. Hope everything is okay with both the 611 and the 53 for next week. Feature event. It was pretty hectic there for a while, but once things got settled down, they were clicking off laps left and right and taking the win after a disastrous 2026 season so far, the 973 Jesse Landis. A fantastic run for Landis, showing the drivers how it's supposed to be done. The track prepared by Brad Missimer and Kenny Rogers was used from top to bottom. 3 lanes of racing for the Sportsman 25-lapper. Colton Perry, nice looking second place finish in the 36. Nick Van Wickle. It seems we're talking about this guy every week, but again, he starts mid-pack, and at the end of the 25 laps, he's basically from 8th on to 1st, so things are looking pretty solid for the 41 of Nick Van Wickle. T. Miller, the 97T, coming home for a 4th place payout, with Matt Laubach, one of the consolation winners, getting the 5th spot in car number 17. Getting the hard charger, advancing 17 spots. Also coming from the consolation was the 9 of Joe Toth, with Addison Meitzler in the 29G getting 7th. Your 8th finisher was one of the heat winners, Lawson Zarensitz in the 12, with your provisional taker, Jimmy Leiby in the 28, romping home for the 9th spot, and rounding out your top 10 on a last lap pass to get the 10th position, the 2 of Chase Guler. That set up the events for the small block modifieds. Again, twin 25s for 4 heats were needed and 2 consolations. Heat winners were Brian Herther in the 4-star, Ryan Grimm in the 17, Chris Esposito in the 31, and Eric Bean in the 87. 2 consolations. It was like watching a Hall of Fame consolation. In fact, for both of them, a lot of top running cars had to qualify through the consolation. Craig Von Doren and Jeff Strunk were your consolation winners. That set the field for the first 25-lap main. No provisionals were added. First 2 laps run off smoothly. 3rd lap, it just became a little bit hectic. Coming off of turn number 2, Eric Bean and Chris Esposito locked bumpers and slowing down the backstretch, collecting quite a few cars along the way. In fact, as NASCAR announcers would call it, we had the big one on the backstretch on lap 3 at Grandview. 12 cars, most of them returning. I believe 3 of them did not return, but 9 out of 12 coming back after a hectic backstretch accident isn't bad at all. Louden Reimert finding the bottom side, the low side to his liking, taking the lead on a restart from Brian Herther in the 4-star, grabbing the win, his 2nd win of the season. He was also the opening day winner in the Bruce Rogers Memorial Moneymaker. Finishing 2nd, coming on strong in the late stages of the race, Logan Watt in the 4M. Mike Guler in the 53, getting 3rd place money. Finishing 4th was your early race leader in the 4-star, Brian Herther, with Jeff Strunk, a consolation winner, finishing 5th in the 6 over. Getting the hard charger was Eddie Stroud. I believe Eddie was probably the last car to qualify, advancing 19 spots, going from the consolation qualifier to a 6th place finish in the 25-lap main event, getting the hard charger. Anthony Perrego getting the 4 under the Ray Kemp checker for 7th, with Craig Von Doren, a consolation winner, finishing 8th. Rick Laubach in the 7 coming home 9th, and rounding out your top 10 was the 15G Dwayne Howard. Set the field for the second 25-lap main event. 3 cars were needed after 3 cars could not make the call for the second feature from the first one, those being the 19K Brett Cressley, the 85 of Ron Herring Jr., and the 17 of Ryan Grimm. In fact, Ryan Grimm, basically the whole left side of the front end was tore off, and there's probably no way he was going to get that car repaired to come back out for the second one. Slotting in those 3 spots at the back of the pack were Jack Sion in the 49, Craig Whitmore in the 99, and Eric Corman in the 81. Like I said earlier, Brian Herther, early race leader in the 4-star. In fact, he was pulling away from the field. Couple restarts, he still held ground and was your leader, but coming off of turn 2, he started to slow down the backstretch, and he actually was a caution pulling into the infield. Anthony Perrego, who had that number 4 on the bottom. He was one of the few cars that could actually make some headway on the bottom, and he inherited the lead, and also his first career win at Grandview Speedway in the Vinny Salerno number 4. So congratulations to Anthony Perrego on his first career win. Ryan Watt was second. Logan Watt was second in the first race. Ryan Watt was second in the second race in the 14W. Dwayne Howard finishing third, but in the mid-stage of the race, Dwayne actually fell back to like the 8th spot, regrouped on strong the remaining laps to get a 3rd place finish in the 15G. Logan Watt in the 4M was your hard charger, advancing 9 positions. Finishing 5th was one of your consolation winners earlier in the 6 over, Jeff Strunk. Finishing 6th was the 30 of Craig Von Doren. Matt Yoder was running as high as 3rd in the early portions of the 25-lap main event, but still had a nice showing, running 7th at the checker in car number 5. Eddie Strada, your point leader at the time, getting 8th in car number 33. 2 strong runs now for the 942. Tim Buckwalter getting the 942 to the payoff window for 9th, and rounding out the top 10, another last lap pass to get that 10th spot, driving the 19 Jared Umbenhauer. So that's how things shook down for the Twin 25s for the small block modifieds. Louden Reimert winning the first one, Anthony Perrego the second one. 25-lap Sportsman winner was Jesse Landis. Racing resumes at Grandview Speedway on Saturday night, June the 6th, with a regular show of small block modifieds and crate Sportsman. Again, Grandview Speedway located right off of Route 100 in Bechtelsville. Hope to see everybody there next Saturday for a fine night of racing. Have a safe and happy week. See you at the Speedway.